Hi everyone, my name is Alex. Welcome to this tutorial. In this one, I would like to show you how we can automate a flight booking website using Python and Selenium. First of all, let's take a look on the website we want to work with. Then let's take a look on the scenario we want to automate. And then let's start coding. Alright, so this is actually the website. It's cleartrip.com. And let's imagine a fictive scenario. Let's say we want to make a round trip from Frankfurt to San Francisco. Let's choose Frankfurt here from this auto-suggestive dropdown. And then here, let's choose San Francisco. Right now it should appear, and let's take that one. And then let's say we want to take the flight on the 2nd of October and come back on the 21st of December. We want to fly with 2 adults and 3 children. And then we want to change the class of travel to premium economy. And let's start searching our flights. Let's go. And in this tutorial, you will see that we will cover different aspects of Selenium. And first of all, let's wait for this page to be loaded. And then we can make 2 more modifications here. Let's say we just want to select non-stop flights. And we can also change the currency. The default is the Indian rupee. Let's change it to the US dollar. Let's do that. And finally, let's book the first flight. Now you can see that we are redirecting to the next window or to a complete different window. This is also a very important aspect of Selenium, how we can work, how we can handle different windows. And then we will be redirected to this specific page. Here, let's say we want to scroll down. We want to click on this continue booking button. Let's do that. And then the system is asking us for our email address. Since it's a real page, it's not a dummy page, we don't want to provide any credentials. And in the final step, let's just click on continue. Then we will get this error message, and this error message should be saved as a screenshot. I will show you how we can do that. And in the very end, we can take a look how we can work with logs. So we have some kind of a documentation of our scenario steps. Alright guys, this was our scenario we want to automate. And I would say let's open our IDE and let's start coding. Let's go. So for this project, I have chosen to work with PyCharm. Actually, it doesn't matter what IDE you want to work with, but in this one, let's go ahead with PyCharm. I have already created a project folder. In the next step, I need to create a new Python file. And let's name it as flight booking project. This is the name from our Python file, and now we can start. So first of all, we need to import the WebDriver from the Selenium package. In my computer, I have already installed the Selenium. If you didn't do it, please do it now, otherwise you can't proceed. So let's say from Selenium import the WebDriver, and in the next step let's declare the driver variable. So it's driver equals to webdriver.chrome, because in this project I have chosen to work with the Chrome browser, and here you need to provide the path where you have stored your Chrome driver. So let me do it here. I need to say executable path, and let me just copy the path where the driver is stored on my computer. Obviously, you will have a different path, but this is This is my one. And right now we should be good to go. Next, let's take a short comment so that the next person will know what we have done here. Let's say initialize Chrome driver, and now we can proceed and open our URL. So how we can do it is to write down driver.get, and here we need to provide the URL. That means let's open our website and go back to the beginning. So it needs a while to load, and we need to copy that URL back to PyCharm, and let's paste it here. Driver.get, that means open the browser, right? And then in the next step, after the browser got invoked, we can maximize our window. And in the next step, we have chosen to select this round trip. This is actually a radio button, and let's see how we can get access to that element. We need to put a right click here, go to inspect, and now we need to find something that is unique to this specific radio button. In this one, let's inspect it again. And here we can work with the ID. This should be unique for that. Let's copy that and go back to the IDE. Let's provide a variable round trip equals to driver.findElement by ID. Let's paste it here, and then let's click on that round trip.click, and then we can wait for, let's say, for 2 seconds. First of all, we need to import this time package. Just move your mouse here and click on this import. And if you scroll up, you can see that nothing happened. So let's do it again. Import, and we need to select the second option, number 2. And right now this time package was imported, right? And here, let's say that we want to wait for 2 seconds. Actually, in Selenium, you have different opportunities how you can work with the wait statements. But for this, let's proceed with this simple time.sleep function. So afterwards, when we have opened our browser and click on this round trip, let's start and run this code for the first time. And let's see if everything is fine or if we need to modify something. So right click and let's go. So the browser is invoking, the window is maximizing, and you can see here that round trip was selected. At the same time, we get this notification message, and I will also show you how we can get rid of that one. Because this is just, this is molesting us and we want to skip this. Okay, so when we have reached the starting page and round trip was selected, we need to choose the departure city and we need to choose the arrival city, right? Let's see how we can do that. Here we have said that we want to fly from Frankfurt to San Francisco. That means we need to get access to this specific text box. Let's do it. It's right click, inspect. And let's take a look if we can find something what is unique for this text box. Again, let's inspect it. And you can see here that we have this ID. Let's choose it and let's work with this ID locator. Back to PyCharm. And right now, let's just write down departure equals to driver.findElement by ID. Let's paste our ID here, and we need to click on this departure variable, right? So it's departure.click, And then we want to send keys. That means we want to write down something, right? First, click on that, and then we want to write something down. Let me show you how we can manage this one. After we have clicked, you can just say departure.send keys. And here, let's just mention the first 3 letters of Frankfurt. So it's FRA. And then you will see that this dropdown is loading. Let's try it out. It's FRA. Right now it's loading. And you will see right now that we get different suggestions. Here, Frankfurt is in the first place, and we want to click on that one. Let me show you how we can do that. After we have clicked, you have seen that it took a while until we got these suggestions here. That means we need to work again with the time.sleep function. And let's say we want to wait for 4 seconds after we have typed in FRA. And then in the next step, we need to choose Frankfurt. And that means we need to loop through all these possibilities. Let me show you how we can manage this. Actually, you just need to write a simple for loop here. Let's inspect this element. So right click, inspect it. And so let's do it again. 1 second. So it's FRA, right click here, inspect. And now you will see that each city or each suggestion from this dropdown is located in this li tag. When you open this li tag, you will see here, for example, the first one is Frankfurt, number 2 is Francistown, and number 3 is Franklin. Let's make a double check here and type again FRA, and you see Frankfurt, Francistown, Franklin, and so on. Here we need to work with this list elements, and we can do it by just writing down a simple for loop here. And let's go ahead and let's do it. First of all, we need to work with the Xpath expression. Actually, you can use also a different locator here, but in this example, I will go ahead and use the Xpath for it. And how we can do it? Let's just write down li class equals to list. Li class equals to list. And now you will see that we have 10 different results for this expression. It makes sense because each city is located in one of this expression, right? Now copy it back to PyCharm. Let's store our expression in one variable. Let's just say cities underscore departure equals to driver.find elements. Here we are working with lists. That means you need to select the find elements function and just paste here your Xpath expression. Right now we need to loop through this list and we need to select Frankfurt. Let me show you how we can manage it. Actually, you have this 10 li tags. If you open it, go down to this a tag, you see that here we have this city, and in our for loop we need to write down something that is unique. And if this for loop finds something what is unique to this text element, it should click on that. So here we can refer to this FRA in capital letters. This is nothing than the Frankfurt airport. And you will see here that, FRA is unique to Frankfurt. Here, for example, Francistown is FRW, and for Lambertown it's FKL, and so on, right? And I would say let's just write it down in our code. Go back to PyCharm and let's create our simple for loop. First, let's take the iterating variable. Let's name it as city1 because we have two cities, right? For that, it's city1 in cities underscore departure. And now we need to write down if fra in city underscore 1. You need to click on this specific text, but I forgot something here. You need to write down city underscore 1 dot text because we want to get access to this text element, right? Again, this is the text element we want to get access to. That means let's write this expression down. Okay, if we have found that, let's just click on this one. So it's city1 dot click. Right now we should be good to go, and finally we can break this simple for loop, right? After we have chosen our city, which is required, we can wait for a couple of seconds. Let's say we want to wait for 3 seconds until we proceed. Right now, Frankfurt is selected. Let me show you. Then it will click here and we will be directly redirected to this text box, and here we want to choose San Francisco, right? So SAN instead of FRA, and we need to wait for a few seconds after we have these suggestions here, and now we want to click on this element. Actually, the logic is the same. That means we can save a little bit of time and just copy this few lines of code. Let's copy it, paste it here, and let's start with our modifications because these lines of code were specifically for Frankfurt, and right now we need to do the modification for San Francisco. Let me comment this out. So it's Frankfurt, and here, I'm sorry, it's not that one. Actually, I should have put this comment here, right? So Frankfurt, and here I can write down San Francisco, and let's see what we need to modify, right? First, we need to get access to this text box. It's right click, inspect, and here we have this to tag, and yeah, just copy it and paste it here. Then we need to remove this departure because we need to write down the arrival city. So let's just down arrival equals to driver.findElement by ID, and then we want to click on this arrival variable and to write down SAN arrival.sendKeys SAN, and then we also want to wait for a couple of seconds, and then when we have our suggestions, we want to loop through them. Let me show you again. So it's SAN, and through these opportunities we want to loop. And let's take a look what is unique to San Francisco here. Again, let's work with the airport. It's SFO, and you just need to write it down here, remove FRA and write down SFO. But first you need to do this modification, so it's not cities departure anymore. Let's change this variable to cities underscore arrival, right? And here you will see that we have the same Xpath expression for the list. Let me just show you. So, oh, sorry. It was a little bit too fast. So here it's Sen. And let's just do a short right click, inspect on this. And you will see that we have again this Xpath expression. But now you have 20 results instead of 10. This is because we have 10 suggestions here and we have 10 suggestions here, right? So all in all, we have 10 results for the departure city and 10 results for the arrival city. If you take a look on the DOM, you see that the structure for departure is the same like the structure for the arrival city, right? So that means that in this step, we don't need to do any kind of modification and we can just proceed. So here we need to change the iterating variable. So this is city2 in cities underscore arrival, right? And if SFO is in city underscore 2.text, please click on that. And then let's wait again for 3 seconds. Right now we should be good to go if I didn't mess up anything. And I would say let's run this code. But first of all, let's take a look how we can get rid of this notification message. Let's just make a simple Google search and search for Python Selenium notification. Enter and go to the first result. Here you see this is the page from Stack Overflow. And that one is exactly what we are searching for. You see, we have the same notification message. And if you scroll down a little bit on this website, you will find this 4 lines of code. And this is exactly what we are looking for. What you can do here is just to copy that code, go back to PyCharm. And right now you need to scroll up where we have initialized the driver, paste your code here, and wait, let me just put down one line here, and this are the 4 lines of code. Now what you need to modify is you need to copy that Chrome options expression, copy it and paste it after your executable path. Then you can just remove this line and also remove the unnecessary lines from here. And we should be good to go when we run the script again. That means if everything worked fine or as expected, we won't see this notification anymore, right? Let's try it out and let's see if Frankfurt and San Francisco will be selected. Right click and run. All right, driver is initialized. The window is maximizing. Cool, round trip is selected. FRA is taped in. Frankfurt, great. Right now SAN. And let's see, San Francisco was selected. Great. So if you close this calendar, you see we have Frankfurt, we have San Francisco, and we don't see this notification anymore. Cool. Right now we want to work with this calendar. As you have seen a few seconds ago, after San Francisco was selected, the calendar opened automatically. That means we didn't need to click on this one, right? So now after choosing San Francisco, we can directly get access to this calendar. And let's say we want to set the departure date to the 2nd of October. and we want to be back on the 21st of December. So let's click on that one, and afterwards we can select this drop downs. But first, let's see how we can get access to these specific dates. Again, let's open the calendar and let's find one unique expression for the dates. So let me inspect it again. 2nd of October is our departure date. And let's see what is unique to that element. Here, first of all, it's very important to get a feeling how this website or how this HTML is structured. We see that October is stored in data month equals to 9 because the counting started at 0, and this is why October is not a 10 but a 9. And first, let me show you. Let me just write down TD data month equals to 9 with the Xpath expression. TD data hyphen month equals to 9. I hope it's the right one. Okay, correct. And now what we need to do here is we need to go down to this A tag in order to get access to this 2, right? Let's do this. And after this A tag, we can work with the text element and write down text equals to 2. And you see here that this expression is unique for the 2nd of October. What is actually our departure date? Let's copy that, go back to the PyCharm and just write down a variable, let's say departure underscore date equals to driver.findElement by Xpath, and let's paste it here, right? In the next step, we want to click on this and wait for a couple of seconds. So departure date dot click, and then let's wait for, let's say for 2 seconds until we proceed. So let's take a look on the calendar. So for that one, first let's remove everything, click on this return date, and we want to come back on the 21st of December, right? So the default is October and November. That means you need to click on this next arrow, and we need to locate this 21st of December. First, let's see how we can locate that one. Right click, inspect, and let's work with a class equals to next month. Let's write our Xpath expression for that. So it's a, and then class equals to next month. Let me copy this value, otherwise I will maybe run into a typo. And now this is unique, right? So double click and you see this is unique for this specific arrow. Copy it, back to PyCharm. Let's declare a variable. Let's say next underscore click equals to, or we can just say next, maybe it's simpler. Next equals to driver.findElement, not elements, because we are not working with a list right now. Find element by Xpath. Paste your Xpath expression here, and we want to click on this next button, right? Let's do it. And afterwards, we will see this November and December. So it's actually depending when you do this. Today, for example, the recording date is the 30th of September 2020. And yeah, it just depends on the date you are working on this project. but for today you will see this view for the suggestion of the return date. This is why today I need to click on the next arrow to be able to see this view and to select the 21st of December. Let's do it. The structure is actually the same. We have this data-month. This December is selected in this 11. Again, we start counting from 0. This is why December is not stored in 12 but in 11. We need to traverse down to this A tag and to get access to that text element. Let's do it. Actually, what we can do here is let's copy the last Xpath expression for our departure date and paste it here to save a little bit of time. Move this or remove this 9, replace it with the 11, and this text element is not 2 but 21. And you will see here that this is the unique Xpath expression for the 21st of December. Copy it again, back to PyCharm, and right now just provide a different variable. Let's say return underscore date equals to driver.findElement by Xpath. Click on that one, and right now we can proceed, right? Return underscore date dot click, and after we have clicked, let's say we want to wait again for 2 seconds until we can proceed. So let me think right now what makes more sense. So if we clicked here, if we should just directly go on and work with the dropdowns, or if I want to run this code again. I think, yeah, let's run this code and then we will see how we can get access to these dropdowns, and click on this more options link and change the class of travel. But first, let's see if we have successfully set the departure and the return dates. Okay, back to PyCharm, right click, and let's run our code. Let's see here. Again, the browser is invoking. The window is maximizing, round trip. Then we have Frankfurt, and now San Francisco. It's selecting. Right now we have the calendar. Great, 2nd of October. And you see here the departure date and the return date were selected successfully. Awesome. Right now let's proceed and work with these dropdowns. So these are just static dropdowns, and these were auto-suggestive dropdowns. Let's say we want to travel with 2 adults and with 3 children. How we can do this? First, again, right click, inspect, and let's find something what is unique to this static dropdown. Again, inspect it, and you can see here that we can use this adults ID to locate it. Just copy that back to PyCharm, and now let's provide one variable, adults equals to driver.findElement by ID. Paste this ID here, and now we need to work with the select class. So every time you work with the static dropdown, you need to use the select class to get access to that. And let me show you how we can do this. Actually, in the first place, let's declare a variable for the first dropdown. Let's say dropdown _1 equals to select. And here we need to import this select class. Move your mouse here, click on import. and you need to choose the option number 4. Click on that one, and yeah, if you move up, you see that this select class was imported. Move down again, and here in brackets you can just provide this adults variable. That means you say that this select class needs to have access to that specific variable, right? Now in the next place we need to write down drop down 1 dot, and here when you use the select class you have 3 different opportunities. You can select something by visible text, by index, and also by value, and here we will have access to 3 different drop-downs, and you will see the 3 different possibilities. When we use the adults drop-down, let's start working with the index. So it should select something by index, and let's take a look how we can do that. This is our window, right? If you open the drop-down, you want to use the index number 1 because you start with 0. So 1 adult is index 0 and 2 adults is index 1. That means you need to provide here 1. Afterwards, let's wait for 1 second until we get access to the next dropdown. So I'll put down time.sleep. Let's wait for 2 seconds. Afterwards, we want to get access to this children dropdown. Let's locate it and use this ID, children's. Copy it back to your PyCharm, and you will see here that the structure is almost the same. And in order to save a little bit of time, we can again just copy the last lines of code and paste it here, but don't forget to comment. And I also need right now to take a short comment here. For example, let's just write down departure date. So to make it a little bit simpler, next button and return date. And here adults, oh sorry for my typos, adults, right? And here we have the children. Right now let's do our modifications and replace this adults variable with children. Children equals to driver find element by ID, and this is actually this ID, and let's copy it again and paste it here. In this one, let's choose dropdown underscore 2, and in the select class, let's provide the children variable. And now we want not to work with select by index, but in this example, we want to work with select by value. Again, you have 3 different choices. You can see it here, select by index, select by visible text, and by value. In this example, we will work with the value option, and we want to travel with 3 children, right? That means that this specific value will be selected if this is present in the dropdown, and you see here it is present, right? So we click on this, and in the next step, what we want to do is we want to click on this more options, and we want to change the class of travel from economy to premium economy, and let's do it. First, let's inspect this more options link, and let's inspect it again. So you will see here we have this ID we can use. Just copy it, go back to PyCharm and provide a variable. Let's say more options equals to driver dot find element by ID. paste your ID here, and let's click on this, click, and then we can wait for, let's say, 1 second. Sorry, not time, but time dot sleep. Wait here for 1 second. Afterwards, we want to have access to this dropdown. This is actually just the same logic what we used before. Again, let's copy these lines of code to save some time. Paste it here. Replace this comment class of travel, right? And here let's do our modifications. Replace this children variable with class of travel equals to driver find element by ID. Let's see how we can locate this dropdown. This ID here is just class, so copy it back to PyCharm, paste it here, and the dropdown variable here is dropdown_3. Select the class of travel, and in this example we want to select by visible text. You see here option number 3 is by visible text, and here we need to provide the exact same text what we want to choose. Here it is premium economy. What I will always do is to inspect on that and to copy this text from here. So I will minimize the risk of running into a typo and paste it just here, and you will have the exact same spelling like in the HTML, and then you will be good to go, right? And finally, we want to click on this search flights. Right click, inspect, and you will see that you have this ID element here. Let's just again copy it back to PyCharm, and let's see what variable we can provide. Let's just say search flights, search_flights equals to driver dot find element by Xpath. Oh, sorry, not by Xpath, it was by ID, right? By ID. Okay, right now we are good to go. And let's click on this specific button. After we have clicked on this button, we will be redirected to the next page. So this page needs to load for a few seconds. And in this one, we want to make 2 modifications. But first of all, we can cross-check our selection. We have chosen a round trip. The departure date is Frankfurt. The departure city is Frankfurt. San Francisco is the arrival city. And we want to start our flight on the 2nd of October and come back on the 21st of December. And all in all, we have 5 travelers, 2 adults and 3 children. So here on this side, we want to choose the non-stop checkbox, and then we want to change the currency from Indian rupee to US dollar. Let's do it. First, let's select this checkbox, right click, inspect, and let's see what we can find that is unique to this specific checkbox. You see here we have this text element. Let's just use it and build our Xpath expression from this one. Let's say it's the P tag, and then we go directly to the text. So it's P, then in the brackets you will provide this text we see here. This is non-stop. Close the bracket and you see that this is unique, right? So copy it. Let's go back to PyCharm and create our variable. I think this is a very good opportunity to introduce you to a different weighting aspect in Selenium. We have right now worked so far with the time.sleep function, but right now let me show you how we can use the explicit wait. But first of all, let me declare a non-stop variable and paste here the Xpath expression and put down one short comment. Let's remember that it took a while until we get to this page, right? We had to wait for a few seconds, and we need to provide, after the search flights button, we need to provide some kind of a waiting statement until we are able to click on this non-stop checkbox after this page was loaded. And let's use the explicit wait for that. First, let's declare a wait variable, and we need to import the WebDriver wait. Locate your mouse here, click on this import button, and if you scroll up, you can see here that this WebDriver wait was successfully imported from the Selenium package, and in the next step you need to import the expected conditions. So it's again from selenium.webDriver, and after the WebDriver you need to provide .support, I think it's the right one, so Selenium WebDriver support, and you need to import the expected conditions. And here it's usual to provide an alias SEC, so capital E, capital C for expected conditions. And now you can move down and you need to provide one argument here. So let's open the brackets and provide the driver argument here. And we need also to provide a couple of seconds. We need to wait at max. Let me explain it to you. So with this expression, we have declared one wait variable, and we say that we want to wait for a maximum of 20 seconds until something happened. And what needs to happen, we can define in the next line of code. So let's say we want to select this non-stop variable, or non-stop checkbox, sorry. Non-stop checkbox equals to wait dot until, and right now we need to provide the expected condition, right? So it's capital E, capital C, dot, and here we want to wait for a maximum of 20 seconds until we are able to click on something, right? This is what we mean by element to be clickable. And now we need to provide the appropriate locator. So let's open the brackets. In this example, we will use the by class to find a specific element, and we need to import this class. Again, put your mouse here, click on import. If you scroll up, you will see that this by class was imported successfully from the Selenium package. Scroll down again and just put a dot here. And you can see that we have again the different locators we can use. Here in this example, we go for the Xpath, then put a comma here. And now you need to provide your Xpath expression you want to work with. Actually, we have stored it in this variable. That means we can just either write down non-stop, but for that we need to put this this non-stop checkbox variable in order to have access to that, or let's just make it a little bit simpler and copy the expression paste it here in brackets as usual, and you need to do one modification. So delete the brackets in the end and also one in the beginning. Right now we are good to go, and remove this line. Cool. Right now this should work if I didn't mess anything up here. Okay, so let me just summarize what we just did. In this line we have, oh no, it was actually in this one, we have clicked on the search flights button, right? Then we were redirected to this specific page. It took a while until the loading was done, and we want to click then on this checkbox, right? The non-stop checkbox. And to do this, we tell our script that it should wait for maximum 20 seconds until this checkbox is clickable, and then in the next step we want actually to click on this checkbox. This is actually what we provided here in this lines of code. So non-stop checkbox dot click, and right now we should be good to go. Here we can just proceed to use the time.sleep function, but for me it was important to show you how we also can use the explicit wait. Okay, if you have any kind of questions to this topic or to some other topic, let me know and I will try to help you out. Alright, so after we have chosen the non-stop checkbox, we want to change this currency. Again, the default is the Indian rupee, and we want to go for this US dollar, right? And then you also will see that this currency here will change, right? So first, let's inspect this currency, and we just can build our Xpath by writing down span class and go for this value. And let's see if this is unique. So it's span class equals to the value we have just copied, close the bracket, and you see here this is unique. You can just copy that one, go back to the PyCharm, provide a variable currency equals to driver.find element by Xpath, paste it here, and now we want to click on this currency, right? Let's do it. Afterwards we can again wait for 2 seconds until we proceed. And now after we've clicked that one, we want to locate the US dollar. Right click, inspect. Let me maximize it. So, and I want to find something what is unique to this US dollar. Again, right click, inspect. And here we can just try to go for this text element. So it's span text equals to US dollar. Let's try that out. So, oh, actually we don't need to use this class, right? So it's just span text and US dollar. Let's see. So span text and then paste the US dollar expression, close the bracket, and you see here this is unique for that one. This is what we want. Let's copy it, go back to our PyCharm, provide one variable USD equals to driver.find element by Xpath, paste your Xpath expression here, and then we want to click on this, right? So let's do it, and afterwards again, let's say we want to wait for 2 seconds until we can proceed. Let's go back to the browser and click on this US dollar. And then when we have chosen the currency and the non-stop checkbox, we want to select the first flight from above. Let's do it. Right click, inspect. And right now we need to provide a locator which is unique for the first booking button. Let's try it out. Again, it needs to be a routine to understand this structure here. And let's see where we can start. So let's move up here until we reach this div class call -19. And we can start working from here and traverse down to this button, right? And then we need to click on this. First, let's build our Xpath expression for that one. So it's div class equals to call -19. Let's build it. It's div class equals to call -19, close the bracket. And right now we will start from here and need to go all the way down to this first button, right? Let's do it. From here, we need to traverse down to this second div, /div number 2. Afterwards, we need to go down to div number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So to div number 7. Afterwards, so again, let's see, we are right now here. Okay, from this one, we need to go to the first div, right? /div number, div number 1. Then again to the first div number 1 again. And now we need to go down to the div number 1, number 2, /div number 2, and then to div number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we will reach the button tag, right? Last time, /button. And you can see here that this specific button was chosen uniquely. Great. So that means we can click on this first booking button. Let's copy it back to our PyCharm. Let's declare one variable for the first flight. First flight equals to driver.findElement by Xpath. Paste it here and click on this first flight. Click. And now we can again wait for, let's say, for 2 seconds, time.sleep. Wait for 2 seconds here. And before I run this code, let me just put the comments I have forgotten here. So just a short comment that the next person knows what you did. San Francisco, departure date, next button, return date, adults, children, more options, class of travel, search flights. Here, let's say we want to work with explicit weight. And here we change the currency, right, from Indian rupee to USD. Let's provide one arrow symbol here. And now we should be almost good to go. Select flight number 1. Okay, cool. After we have clicked on this button, we will be redirected to another window, but let me show you by running this code, right? So I will close this browser and put a right click here, and let's run this code, and let's see if everything works fine or if we need to modify something, right? So this is just a deprecation warning here. You see in red, because of this Chrome options we have selected when we wanted to get rid of this notification message, but I think we can still proceed and it won't break nothing. Okay, Frankfurt was selected, San Francisco. Now we have our calendar, departure date, return date. We have 2 adults. We have in the next place, oh, the children was not selected. Okay, I will break this code right now, the script, sorry. Let me put a stop here and let's take a look why children was not selected, right? Let's take a short look what went wrong here. Scroll up or down here. One moment. So it's children equals to driver find element by ID. Okay, cool. And then drop down to. Okay, I got it. I forgot to change here the drop down, right? So here it's drop down number 1, number 2. And here when we set the class of travel, it's number 3 and number 3. Okay, let's run it again and let's see if we have fixed this issue. Okay, the driver is loading again. Window is maximizing. Let's go for Frankfurt and San Francisco. Choose the dates, departure date, return date, then 2 adults, and okay, now we're good to go. We have 3 children, premium economy, and search flights. Right now we are redirected to the next page, and here we have used the explicit wait concept. Let's see. We want to choose the non-stop checkbox and to change the currency. Let's see if it works. Non-stop is selected. Awesome. USD is selected and the first flight was also selected. Great. You can see here that right now we are being redirected to a whole new window. And this is the next step. I want to show you how we can manage different windows in Selenium. Let's imagine this is our parent window and this is our child window, right? Let's go back to the PyCharm and scroll down here, right? What we do now is we want to provide one variable, child window equals to driver dot window handles, and right now we want to provide the one here. Number 1 is the child window and number 0 is the parent window. In the next line, let's write down driver dot switch to window, and here let's provide the child window. And as you can see here, this switch to window function is deprecated. Let's just replace this underscore with a simple dot. And now we should be good to go. Right. In the next step, let's wait for, let's say 10 seconds. So we reduce the risk of running into an error, right? And with these lines of code, you say that after we were redirected to a whole new window, Selenium should take care of this constellation of the parent window and the child window and get access to this child window, and then we can start or proceed writing our script and the next lines of code, and then we will have access to the elements of this child window. Otherwise, if you would have skipped these lines and you would just proceed writing a code, Selenium would break because it isn't aware of this page, right? But now we should be good to go, and let's proceed. Here we want to scroll down in order to be able to click on this continue booking button, and let's see how we can manage it. Right click here, inspect, and we can use this ID, right? Right click and copy it, go back to your PyCharm, provide one variable, continue underscore booking equals to driver dot find element by ID, paste your ID here, and now you can, before we click on this one, we want to scroll to this element, right? It was my bad. So we need to work with this web element, right? So it's continue booking dot location once scrolled into view. That means after we are redirected to this page, our script should find this element, and first of all it needs to scroll to this element, right? So the goal is to have this specific view here, right? And this is actually the line of code which brings us to this view. Okay, in the next step, we actually want to, let's say we want to wait for 1 second, and then we want to click on this button, time.sleep. Or let's say we want to wait for 2 seconds, then we can see clearly what happens, the scrolling procedure, right? And then continue booking dot click. Here we should then click on this button, and in the next step let's click on this continue button, and as you can remember, we will run into an error message and we want to capture a screenshot from this upcoming error message. But first, let's click on this continue button. Let's inspect it, and let's go for this ID here. So we had this variable continue booking. Then we want to wait for another 2 seconds. And then let's say continue booking underscore 2 equals to driver dot find element by ID. Paste it here. Then let's click on this correct continue booking button. Dot click. Let's wait again for, let's say, 2 seconds. And afterwards, we will receive this error message because we didn't provide any credentials. And now let's capture one screenshot from this error message, right? Let's do it. It's driver dot save screenshot, right? And now you need to provide a file name. Let's say it's error underscore message or msg.png because we want to save it as a PNG file. And after we have captured the screenshot, let's close the driver. So driver.close, and this will shut down the driver. So let me provide the comments I didn't provide yet. Close driver here. Here we want to save a screenshot, and here it's continue booking, same procedure for that one. Sorry, it's here, right? Continue booking 2 times. Here we wanted to switch to child window. Here I have one typo, it's select. Okay, here we are good to go. All right, looks good. And I think we are good to go. All right, before I will run this code, hopefully the last time, let's take a look how we can work with logs, right? It's very important actually for the documentation. I don't want to go too much into detail regarding the logs, particularly in this project, because I will cover this topic in the upcoming YouTube tutorial. But nevertheless, let me show you the basic concept of how we can use the logs. So let me import the logging package in the first place. Then let's call the basic function. And here we need to provide different arguments. Let me just copy and paste something from my last project and I will tell you what I did here. Let me paste it here. In the first place, we need to provide a file name. Let's copy the name of the last project and replace it with flight. So this will be the file name of our logs, flight.log. Then we need to provide a format. Here I worked with the ascending time order. Then I have printed out the level name and the actual message. Here we have stored the date format as year, month, date, and hours, minutes, and seconds. And here you will learn that we have different logging levels. This is the logging.info level. And finally, we need to provide a file mode. So this W means that every time when you run this code, your old logs will be replaced with the new logs. And if you replace this W with an A, that means every time your code is running, your new logs will be appended to the old ones, right? And this W, write mode, means again, the old ones will be just replaced, right? This is the whole concept. But again, I will cover this topic in the upcoming YouTube tutorial. Let's see how we can capture a few logs here. For example, let's write something down when we have opened the browser. It's logging.info. No, it's not that info, it's the other info. It's that one. So here you just can say that driver was opened successfully. Let's say Chrome driver, right? Okay. Then copy this line and you just can say that you want to print out that Frankfurt was selected. Here, Frankfurt was selected. Copy this line of code, go down and do this for San Francisco. Just replace this here. San Francisco was selected. Sorry, Francisco. Okay. Now let's proceed and write down that we have totally 2 adults and 3 children were selected. Here, afterwards, let's say that we have chosen the premium economy class was selected. Next, we want to mention that we have chosen the US dollar. Again, paste this line of code here and write down something like, we use the USD currency. Then let's see what we can do next. Let's scroll down and mention that the screenshot was captured. Screenshot was captured, right? And then finally, let's print out that the driver was closed successfully. All right, cool. Let's see if this works, and let's just run our code. Right click and run. Let's see if everything worked fine right now. It's now very interesting because I think we did a lot together. And yeah, let's see if something needs to be modified or if everything runs fine. Good. Frankfurt was selected. San Francisco is selected right now. Then let's go for the dates. Departure, return. Okay, looks good. 2 adults, 3 children. Then we go for more options. Change the class of travel. Search for flights. Right now we are being redirected to the next page. Let's see how this behaves right now. We have the non-stop. Then we change the currency to US dollar. We want to book the first flight. Okay, it looks good. We are redirected to this child window. Let's see if this works fine. Okay, looks good. Now we click on the continue button and we click again on this continue button. And this is actually the last step because you have seen that the driver was closed. Right now, let's go back to our PyCharm. And you see here that everything actually went fine because we have here this process finished with exit code 0. And again, this is just the deprecation warning of this Chrome options we have here in line 17 because of this one, but it didn't fail and everything seems to be good. Now let's take a look on the screenshot and you see here this error message was printed, and let's see if the logs are okay also. And yeah, so here we have the date, we have our time, and we have the level, and finally the our log messages. Great. All right, guys, I would say we have finished our project successfully. I hope, you could learn something. If you have any kind of questions, please let me know and I will try to help you out. And thank you very, very much for your time, for your patience, and I hope to see you in the next project. Thank you very much. Have a great day and bye.